Hi, everybody. This is Mr. Armstrong here with,
Good morning, it's Mr. Williams.
and we're working on computer side chat number 2 today for the Enlightenment unit. First thing we're going to do is quickly talk about the objective again. So, same as last time, how the use of reason was used to discover natural laws within society and government. Today we're going to talk specifically about a couple of, let me rephrase that, we're going to talk about specifically about the people of the Enlightenment, starting with Hobbes and Locke, and then moving on to some of the others. The Hobbes and Locke will be done a little bit differently. It'll be done as a slight debate or conversation between myself and Mr. Williams, who I will be playing the role of Hobbes, and Mr. Williams will be...
I'll be playing the role of John Locke.
So, since there's two of us, and we would actually need a third for a moderator, the Bay Board is going to act as a moderator, which is why it is labeled moderator. So it'll pose the questions, and then Locke will begin to answer that question, and then Hobbes will answer the question, and you can begin to see how they thought differently about these topics.
And since the computer's the moderator, that does mean we have no friends. Oh, well, you know what? I'll take this one first. Since I am Locke, I automatically think that people are born with a clean slate. And another way to put, or the way they phrased it back then, is that the meaning was tabula rasa. People are born with a clean slate, and through time, whether it's nurture or their life experiences, it shapes the people who they are. And that's what I think about people.
Locke, I tend to disagree with you here. I think people are born naturally evil. Like, if you leave people alone to do their own thing, they're going to be rude, they're going to be cruel, they're going to be selfish, they're greedy, they always want more. Yeah, you're way off the mark on this one. People are just naturally born evil.
I have a baby at home, and the last thing I would say is he's evil. I'm guessing, Mr. Hobbes, that you are a glass is half empty kind of guy, a real pessimist.
I would consider myself a realist, but whatever you want to call me, I guess. Again, you're evil. People are evil.
I definitely think you're evil. All right, so looking at the next question here, got to spend some time talking about my idea of the social contract. Sure, Hobbes is the one who originated the idea,
That's
but
right, I did.
I made it better. In fact, I have a huge influence on the Constitution. In the social contract, I believe that people should hand over some rights, just some, and the government, in return for that power to be the government owes the people protection of their natural rights, life, liberty, and property. If you've heard that term before, you probably heard it as life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Thomas Jefferson stole my words. That's what an influence I had on the Declaration.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, people are evil, people are cruel, so government is there to protect them against their own selfishness, against their own cruelty. So, no, the social contract is people should give over all of their rights, which is why I happen to be in favor of an absolute monarchy, because it's easier for one person to control, and again, all the rights should be given up. So, no, I mean...
All right, wait, hang on a minute. Mr. Hobbes, are you saying that the only thing that government should do is protect your life and make sure that you're alive? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, they should control and do everything for you.
Oh, man, we are on two different sides of the world. There is so much more to life than that. Life, liberty, and property. That stuff has to be guaranteed. You're born with those natural rights.
But if you leave everybody to be able to do that, they're just going to be so cruel and selfish that they're going to take and steal from everybody.
I guess this just stems back from our belief with people. I think that they're born with a clean slate. Not everyone is evil.
Oh, man, I'm telling you.
Why does government exist? For one reason only, according to my social contract, to protect the rights of the individual. And in fact, if the government doesn't do that, they should immediately be dissolved. And again, my influence on the Constitution is prominent. You'll see that in the Constitution. If we don't like the government, we can get rid of it.
Once a contract is written, it's written. It needs to stay. So, no, the contract is written. Government does all that they're supposed to do. No, it stays. The contract's written. There's no overthrowing.
Mr. Hobbs, are you actually saying that once that social contract is established, you can never go back and change it?
Never. That's how contracts work. A contract is written, it's signed, and you fulfill the contract.
I don't agree with you there. I guess I'm too fickle. If I don't like the deal, I want to go back and be able to amend it.
Oh, man. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. It's people like you that drive this world insane. Well, I guess we already kind of talked about that one.
Well, I mean, yeah, you were promoting an absolute monarchy as the type of government, but I have to say my piece here. I definitely believe in a constitutional monarchy. I do come from England, so I love my monarch, but the people need to limit that king, and they should have the right to legislate. Constitutional monarchy is the best way to do things.
No way. Again, absolute monarchy, because people can't be controlled. People can't be trusted. They're evil. They need to be told exactly what to do. One person, no. I mean, we couldn't be on any more opposite on that idea.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hobbs. I think you're absolutely wrong.
All right. So, in summary, we are now done with playing the roles of Locke and Hobbes. But in summary, to kind of help help you pull everything together here, we're going to kind of do some bullet pointed lists here to talk about these items. So, Mr. Williams, I'm going to have you go ahead and...
Yeah, sure. So, like, the very first thing that you have to understand about John Locke is his vision or his belief in people. And he believes that people are born with a clean slate, tabula rasa. And with Hobbes, he's on the opposite side of the spectrum. He believes that people are born evil. And so from the very beginning, you got to watch out for everyone else. They're coming to get you. They're evil people. They both have theories of the social contract. John Locke believes that people should hand over a little bit of power so that the government can govern. And in return, the government should guarantee those natural rights, protection of those natural rights, life, liberty, and property. Now with Hobbes, he believes that the government should only protect them, like the people from themselves. So that you're guaranteed a life, and that's about it. And that people are just so evil that they're always going to try to hurt themselves or hurt each other, and that the government needs to protect them from doing that. So it's all about protection, and protection from other countries as well. When it comes to Locke, about whether the contract can be changed or not, he absolutely believes that. And so if the government does not make up their part of the bargain, then it should be dissolved and a new government can be formed. And again, we can do that in the United States thanks to the idea by John Locke. Hobbes believes that once you negotiate the contract, you can never go back and do it again. And the absolute monarch that you chose and went into contract with will stay there forever, or at least his heirs or his family lineage will be there forever. As far as what type of government Locke prefers, he likes that constitutional monarchy, like the Glorious Revolution, where the monarch is limited and the people come up with that set of laws, and that they're actually the ones who legislate. On Hobbes' side, he believes in the absolute monarchy, one person to rule them all, and I think Hobbes would be very happy with the situation in North Korea.
Okay, now that we've talked about Locke and Hobbes, talked about their ideas of the social contract, their ideas about people in general, and the types of government they would like, we're going to now move and talk about a couple of the others. However, it might be important to say here at this time with Locke and Hobbes is, who do you think, quote unquote, the victor would be, Mr. Williams?
It's obviously Locke, for sure.
So a lot of the people that we'll talk about now take the ideas from Locke and add to it, build upon it to make it even better.
Yeah, and so right out of the gate we have Baron de Montesquieu, and like many other of the enlightened philosophers, he is French, so we're going to have lots of French last names. But the big thing that Montesquieu was in favor of was the separation of powers. Again, think about the United States. Like, there's no doubt our founding fathers were taking the ideas from the enlightened philosophers like Montesquieu and basically implementing those in our Constitution. And just to quote Montesquieu, he believed that liberty would be soon lost if you did not separate the branches.
So before the United States creates this idea of separation, or before we use the idea of separation of powers, wasn't this idea also used in other parts of the world? Say England with their parliamentary system?
Yes, and I think you would say that it would be bicameral, or it'd be a bicameral legislature. So there's actually within that branch it's separated into two. But I think with our early example of England, you have the legislative and executive branch. And now Montesquieu is kind of adding a third to the mix.
Okay, so the idea was that there should be two branches, and then Montesquieu comes in and says, no, we think there should be three.
That's correct.
And if you guys can think back to your 7th grade year, one word that we probably hit on quite a bit with the Roman Republic was this idea of tripartite government, or tripartite government, where there are three parts to it, just to kind of help bring some of that 7th grade curriculum back into your world today. So do you have anything else, or are we?
I think we're ready to move on.
All right, so the next one is Voltaire, and again, I'm going to let Mr. Williams take the lead, and because I'm kind of enjoying just interjecting and adding some things, because I really like philosophy.
Voltaire is known for a very famous quote. It's, "I may not believe in what you are saying, but I will fight until the death to make sure you have the ability to say it." And that really just speaks volumes about his belief in freedom of speech, and everyone deserves it. And we also find that in our Constitution. And many of you pointed out, especially in my class especially, and I'm sure Mr. Armstrong's as well, that freedom of speech is an example of Enlightenment idea in the Constitution. He's not the founder, but he's a big proponent of deism. And what deism is, it's the belief that God and religion is almost, or God himself is like a clockmaker. And so how a clockmaker would pretty much build a clock, set it in motion, and from that point on, after building the clock, he would not interfere. And so they took that idea that God created earth, set it in motion, and then from there, God would be very hands-off. He's not going to get involved in our day-to-day actions. So they're not atheists, but they are deists. A lot of these enlightened philosophers, and the biggest proponent of deism was definitely was Voltaire.
All right, so hopefully you guys can see that the notes that I'm kind of trying to add up here as we go. So with that, we'll move on to the next individual here.
Just one more thing that I want to interject. With that deist or deism belief, they thought not only did God set it in motion, but it was up to natural laws to really kind of guide life on earth. So natural laws comes into play in a big way with deism.
Awesome. So the next one we have is, and I'm gonna mispronounce his name if I try. So Mr. Williams, will you go ahead and?
Yeah. So you have Jean-Jacques Rousseau, another French guy.
And the Rousseau here, I've got the pictures of the emojis added up here because he is one of the first philosophers to interject and to comment and talk about emotion and how emotion helps drive people's philosophy and how they operate. And then the bottom left, we've got this picture of what they refer to as a flower girl, who we might say maybe the term. What do you think term might be a little more?
Flower child?
Yeah. Is there any term that you think might make a little more sense with them? See, to me, it makes me think of hippie.
Yeah.
Somebody who's just happy and trying to look at the world in a positive light.
I think in general, just someone who promotes peace first and foremost. and that the last thing they're willing to do is fight or get angry or something like that.
He's also a proponent of majority rules, which is why that's down there at the bottom right. Mr. Williams added the picture at the top right, so I'll let him talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, so where you had Locke thinking everyone was born with a clean slate, Hobbes thought everyone was born evil, Rousseau thought everyone was born happy. And so he has his own version of the social contract. If you could just kind of like look at the right-hand side, people are born happy, and then when they actually enter in a social contract with government, the one thing that government is supposed to do for the people is to make sure that the majority gets what they want. So he has a very different spin on the social contract. The only other thing I want to mention on Rousseau with these emojis, he is very in tune with emotions, and a lot of the enlightened philosophers were not at the time. They believed that emotions would make you do crazy things, and they thought that you should remove emotion from your decision-making process and just use rationalism and logic.
Yeah, because emotion is typically irrational, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It makes sense that they want to remove that. I have to do this. Sorry, and I know I'm wasting time.
I'm a big fan of Bobby McFerrin.
And hopefully you guys at least know the songs.
Yeah, so definitely think of... Definitely think of Bobby McFerrin and Don't Worry, Be Happy as a song from my childhood. I think I was probably 8 or 9 years old. And if you guys have an extra moment, you should check out the video because the late Robin Williams is the actor is in the video. It's a really cool video.
He might have been a little before my time, but that's okay.
All right, next up we have Cesar Beccaria, and he is just really big with criminal rights. So in here I have keep quiet and plead the Fifth. That's the Fifth Amendment. The Fifth and Sixth Amendment of our Constitution are huge with criminal rights, and we owe that to Mr. Beccaria.
With him, he talked about trying to eliminate some of the harsh punishments that were going on during the time. So like putting people on these stretchers and the crank that has the rack and stretching their bodies to extreme points of pain. He also talked about having a speedy trial and that the objective of prisons and decisions should be to try to, or that the punishment should fit the crime and try to, I guess I'm not really entirely sure what I'm trying to say, but...
Well, one thing is clear is that Beccaria would have a problem with Guantanamo Bay in Cuba because those guys do not have a lot of criminal rights since it's not on U.S. territory.
Yeah, and he was really, really against the idea of the death penalty, which is interesting that somebody so long ago was against that idea, and we still talk about him as an important figure, and the death penalty still exists. To me, I find this thing's interesting, not trying to get into the debate whether it should or shouldn't exist, because I think that is a decent debate to have. But I think it's interesting. It says a lot about his impact and his influence that you can still see in today's world. So, sorry, I got a little long-winded there. We'll go on to the last one here. This is one of the philosophers, and I'm going to mispronounce her name, is it Wollstonecraft?
Yeah, Wollstonecraft.
Who was really beginning to try to increase rights for females. And she really did a lot of emphasis on increasing education, which is why we have the image up here of Malala.
Yeah, we'll just call her Miss Malala. I don't want to mispronounce her last name. And a lot of you guys are familiar with her because I had a lot of students who were quick to choose her with the challenging pre-existing ideas at discussion posts in the Scientific Revolution unit.
And Wollstonecraft talked about how she kind of piggybacked off of the idea that Locke had, saying that people should have the right to life, liberty, and when they have those rights, people are happier, people can do better. And she was saying that, if you're thinking that that's how life should be, then females should also be given the same possibilities, because then that's only going to make life even better, or society even better, once you can involve more people into that, which I think we would agree with.
Oh yeah, of course. And I think like Mary Wollstonecraft could definitely be viewed as one of the first, or if not the first, female rights activists. And what a great time to actually raise these arguments when everyone's going around talking about limiting government and expanding individual rights.
So with that, we conclude our second computer side chat for the Enlightenment. We hope you enjoyed it, and please, talk with us. Let us know if you think this was a good way to kind of learn about the Enlightenment thinkers, so we can try to help you and on your process along the way.
Yep, and at any point that you're watching this and you have questions, please grab Mr. Armstrong or Mr. Williams. We are so happy to talk about this stuff and help you out.